Here we are, episode 53 of the Two Russells podcast. How have you been, Russell? What have you been up to?
Very well indeed. Very busy. All good. Nothing controversial, I don't think, unless you're going to tell me otherwise.
I think I've seen a few controversial pieces in the press and on LinkedIn, a few bits, and
Really?
that you've been up to, and some great feedback from our last podcast, last one with Graham, episode 52, where
Jitty.
all about AI with Jitty. Yeah, then I think he had to run off because Rightmove the day after announced that they were launching their AI search tool as well, which I've heard nothing else about it.
AI inverted commas. I'm not sure Rightmove have really grasped what AI is. But anyway, that's probably for a podcast another time. I think, look, Jitty, very smart. I think they understand it.
Yeah.
I think
it's a very cool piece of kit, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, AI is, but AI, what people need to understand is AI is a thing of itself. So no one's going to go to Rightmove to use AI. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You're going to go to ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, whatever, to find your home in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Rather than going through a search engine.
So PR very important, by the way, from a digital footprint perspective. But anyway,
little bit of a plug over. And someone who's been plugging themselves and absolutely delivering an amazing job in PR and publicity is our next guest today. So welcome to episode 53, Silvia Eldawi. Well done. Welcome. Thanks for coming on the Two Russells podcast. But obviously, today we're very nervous because we've got a podcast expert. The Golden Nugget podcast is going from strength to strength. So, Silvia, tell us all about it and welcome to our little corner of East London.
It's fair to say we're probably underselling Silvia. Silvia, I think it's fair to say you are the queen of property podcasts.
Yeah, he just called me Karen Brady of real estate. I like that. I like to call myself the golden girl of real estate. But yeah, Karen Brady.
So tell us more. What do you do?
So as little as possible, in a nutshell. But no, I have created an ecosystem called the Golden Nuggets, which is a show, it's a platform, and it's actually not really about me, it's about my guests. So I have a podcast show which is like top 5 video on Spotify and on YouTube and all your popular platforms, and I interview the who's who in real estate. So names that you'll be familiar with. So not just in Dubai.
But you're Dubai based.
I was Dubai based.
Well, we'll come back to that. But you're popular in Dubai, it's fair to say.
I'm most popular in the United Arab Emirates, but I have got a big following in the UK because my whole background's in the UK. Yeah. So my LinkedIn followers, I looked at the stats the other day, and like 60% of them are UK based. So I had a long, lengthy real estate career, 15 years in London. So I know Josh, I know Nikki Stevens, I know everyone from the old school days. I did go off to Dubai in 2017. And I was running one of the largest brokerages out there. And then I co-founded a PropTech startup. So that got me into a different space altogether, like investors, VCs, technology. And I was like, oh, hang on a second. This is... and
that was in Dubai?
That was in Dubai.
Yeah.
And then I went off after that, did my own thing, which was supposed to be one thing, but it ended up being the podcast.
Which brings you to here, right?
Which brings me to
Golden
here.
Nuggets.
So you called yourself a media whore.
Yes.
And I'm also a media whore.
Well, it's probably only because everyone calls me a media whore. It's probably more acceptable to call me a media whore than perhaps...
Than bespoke, yes.
Than you.
No,
but you're an unashamed media whore, then,
unashamed, yes.
Right,
no, I've got it on my screensaver on my phone. Live life to the full... Oh, hold on, I can't even remember it off by heart. Something like
we're not cutting this, by the way. We're leaving that in. We're leaving that in.
Chris has got my phone. What does it say on the front of my phone? I can't see it.
Can't read that.
Oh, right.
Just
something,
make it
live life to the fullest of your audacity or something like that. So I'm just trying to be
So give us an idea of some of your guests on the Golden Nuggets. So who have you interviewed on the Golden Nuggets?
So, I mean, everyone will know the Allsops.
So that's the biggest real estate brokerage in Dubai.
In Dubai. Yeah. So I've interviewed Lewis Allsop. And from the UK, actually, Peter Rollins.
Right.
Yes,
okay.
I
He's
had
very
him on the
hard to
show.
get. He's
Yeah.
due to come onto this podcast.
Yes, yeah.
But he's a very hard man to nail down.
Well, he'll be hard to nail down in London, but when he's in Dubai, he's got
You've
not
got him.
much going. I've got
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
So, and I was the only one to get him. So I had Peter Rollins on. I did an episode with him. And that was nice, like going down memory lane, and because I always used to look up to him.
Peter came over to run a conference, didn't
Yes,
he? I think
yeah.
in Dubai.
So
Yeah, that point,
he was.
yeah.
It was an icons conference for Property Finder, which is the largest portal out there.
Yeah.
And so they asked me actually for recommendations, like who's someone from the UK, and I was like, it's got to be Peter. So they brought him over.
Well, while we've got Dubai, before we delve back into your career back in London, so you're over in the UK for an extended stay that you weren't
Yes.
expecting to have. So just talk to us the bits you can talk about.
Right.
You left Dubai, I think you were saying
Yes,
5th
so
of March.
I-
So talk to us about what's
So
going on over there at the moment.
Today is the 1st of April, just depending on whenever you're watching this. And, the situation is obviously quite volatile and fluid. So depending on when you're watching this, the war might be over. We might be in the thick of it. We might, there might be a ceasefire. Who knows? But as of today, it's still going on. And I prefer to be in London while this is all happening. And I needed to be here anyway. So I can't talk too much about it, but I am doing a season with probably the largest real estate brand in the UK scheduled for May, June.
There'll be a fight over who that is because obviously lots of different
People
real estate
claim that,
brands think
yeah.
that they're
Yeah,
the biggest.
no, but
so
this-
hang on, are you saying
for
that for the
sure.
first time ever in history, London is safer than Dubai?
Well, depends how you put it. Personal safety.
Sadiq Khan will be so happy.
So I was there for the first week of the conflict, and I could hear noises that I've never heard and never cared to hear before,
Right.
cared to hear ever again. So it was just...
It wasn't just the champagne corks from real estate agents in
it was.
the Palm.
These were like loud booms, and like it sounded like a plane was right on top of you. And so, whilst I never thought, I didn't actually feel like anything's going to hit my building, or I didn't fear for my own life. I just feared to be in a situation like I was during COVID, where I was locked out.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be in a position where I couldn't get back to London to fulfill my UK
Obligations,
season
yeah.
obligations, because they closed the airspace down. There could be a global lockdown. I didn't know. But I had PTSD from COVID because I was actually stuck out in Sudan and I couldn't fly out for 3 months.
Wow.
Right.
So
Okay.
I've, having that fear, I was like, no, you've got to be where you need to be for the next couple of months.
Yeah, because you
And
had commitments here in the UK.
I had
anyway.
commitments here, and I have commitments in New York in June. And the funny thing is, because I packed to leave here, thinking, okay, I'll go back in. I'll be in Dubai in May or whenever, and then I'm going to New York in June. But my US visa, and long story why I need a visa, but I have a US visa in my old passport, which I left behind. So when I realised, hold on, I might not even go back to Dubai before I go to New York. I need to get someone to bring my passport over. So I had to get someone that I knew was flying
You're gonna
to pick up my passport and bring it over.
Yeah.
So I've got commitments here, and then in the States in June onwards. So it
So
just
are
makes
you
sense.
worried about the future of Dubai from an economy or a real estate perspective?
Absolutely. I wouldn't say worried, like I'm concerned and I'm being
And
very
I don't mean about
realistic.
bombs dropping. I mean about the economic fabric.
Damage is done. The damage is done. Even if the war ends tomorrow, I feel like the work that's been put in by the government, the industry players, the leaders to kind of get Dubai up, the perception of Dubai
Because it is on a
up
huge
there.
pedestal, right?
Yes.
It's on a huge.
pedestal.
It's been knocked off like 15 years. I feel like, we're going to have to start all over again. We're going to have to go back
Rebuild.
and rebuild. And yes, it's got a good reputation for bouncing back very quickly. So we hope that can happen.
But in fairness,
again.
the regime acted really quickly. So when it came to people that wanted to leave
Yep.
Dubai, and for those particularly that were not able to leave initially, they funded the extra stays in hotels
Yes.
for those that had to stay longer than they'd planned.
Right.
I thought that was really
That was a nice
impressive.
touch. That was a really nice touch.
Yeah. And I guess
It's
it's all
like a
about
furlough, isn't it?
yeah. But I guess that from a PR point of view, reputationally, the Dubai government, the regime.
You can't call it the regime.
Can't you? Okay.
Not in this instance.
Well, I can. It's because I don't ever go back to Dubai again. No, but the Dubai leadership, let's call it the
Yes.
Dubai leadership, from a PR perspective, wanted to show, very wisely, I think, but really fast, unlike our government and our Prime Minister here, that actually they were going to act, support, and, jump in to give not just financial support, but I guess, credibility, comfort,
Right.
and to try and add some positive sentiment to things. So
Yeah.
I think they did that very well.
Yeah. No, I can't fault them for that. And like you said, there is no layers of approval, so decisions can be made
straight
instantly.
away. Yeah.
They can announce it tomorrow.
Yeah, who knew
and it's done.
dictatorships are a very, very honest and pure form of democracy, it turns out. And maybe it will catch on here.
Russell, keep your politics out. But there's a lot of people have moved out to, start their new dreams. A lot of estate agents, I know several estate agents in the last beginning of this year that have gone out there to work in real estate. So what do you see will happen to prices? One of our previous guests, Tyrone, is very much still out there on Instagram saying, come and buy,
see
come
him on social media a lot.
come and buy.
Yeah.
You don't subscribe to that, or do you feel...
No. I mean, look, I am a firm believer in real estate as the strongest asset class to invest in. Okay, I believe just doing the maths around it. If you've got to go through the journey where it begins. So right now, tourism in Dubai is going to take a huge hit. You said you were going out or planning on.
We had
You
to
ended up in
divert-
Dubai Reef.
Dubai Reef, Tenerife, yes. Yeah.
So tourism has taken a massive knock, which means that the holiday homes market or Airbnb market is down to like 0% occupancy.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
And a lot of the hotels have reduced their rates significantly to
Right.
try and attract people back.
Yeah.
So hotels are at like 10% max occupancy. Okay, so what then happens is you have a bunch of Airbnb units convert to long-term rental. Okay, stick it on, we'll put it on, find a long-term tenant. So then you end up with a flooded rental market while at the same time as people are leaving. If you've got lots of empty properties, what tends to happen?
Prices will drop.
Prices will drop. So if prices drop and landlords will start getting desperate and reducing or being competitive, because you can't just say, oh, leave it emptier for longer. No, it doesn't make sense. So rental prices are going to come down, which we were expecting to come down anyway, because there's a lot of units that were sold 2-3 years ago now being handed over.
Yeah.
So without the conflict, we were expecting there to be a slight oversupply, or there was concern for a slight oversupply of units. This is definitely going to lead to an oversupply of units. When prices come down, when rental prices come down, then the ROIs don't make sense. So
But it also means for those that are looking to either buy or rent, it's now a time of better value. That might actually attract people to say, okay, particularly if I was going to go anyway, and I'm going to sign a 12-month lease, I'd rather do it now because it's 80%, 70% of what it was 2 or 3 months ago. So there is a benefit, I guess,
if you've got a job,
to the demand side.
If you've got a job to pay for it. So the job market is unstable right now. People don't know if their company is going to stay open. They don't know if they're going to be, they're doing different rounds of cuts. So there was a lot of people that may have lost their jobs or been placed on half salary for the month of March. In April, if things don't get better, there might be another round. So
there was
if
a
there's
big reach out from the hospitality sector because, of course, they have really suffered in hospitality because, A, there's fewer people there, but obviously fewer people want to go out. But Silvia, it's temporary, right?
It depends how long this goes on for. It depends how long. It's not like COVID so during COVID time, what happened then was, and it was amazing to see, but you had you had thousands of cabin crew out of work that then went into real estate, and some of them smashed it. They did, and because the personality of a cabin crew person would be ideal for real estate. They're very good at explaining, they're very good customer service, and so on. So if the real estate market was just as strong right now, then we could say we could absorb all those hospitality people into the industry. But there was already an oversupply of real estate agents and brokerages in Dubai. So I do see that there will be, we're up to like 30,000 real estate agents in Dubai.
So what percentage of those would be self-employed?
All of them. All of them, yeah. The developers' agents get paid a salary, but they're not included in the 30,000.
So there's 30,000 self-employed agents.
Self-employed
no
agents.
one buying.
All right, so there's an adjustment going on.
There'll be an adjustment. Before COVID, there was like 9,000. So, and it's only the top 5% of agents that are really making serious money.
So I want to ask you about that, right? So forget COVID, forget the Iran conflict. My perception is that a lot of people in real estate, particularly Brits, former estate agents in the UK, have thought that the Dubai streets are paved with gold from an estate agency income point of view. They've gone to Dubai. Most fail.
Yes,
is that true?
it's true.
Forget Iran.
Yeah.
Even
It's like 85%
before
failure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
So they go along and think, I'm going to earn 300, 400, 500 grand a year because I'm told by, Allsop and Keller Williams out there and Tyrone Ash that I'm going to make
250,000 tax-free.
And the reality for the majority, 56, 60, 70, 80%, whatever, is that that's not the case. Is that true?
I wouldn't say the majority. I think probably if you're an experienced real estate agent here, you've got a very good chance of being an exceptional real estate agent there, right? And I actually did an episode, check it out, Golden Nuggets with Silvia, a couple of weeks ago with Kevin Piercy. I don't know if you know him, but he had been a real estate agent here for 20 years. He just packed up like a year ago and moved to Dubai. And he's like, it's not what I was expecting it to be. It's like completely different.
Because presumably you land and you then end up under the umbrella of an Allsop or a Keller or an EXP or whoever. But you're completely on your own, right? If you've got no contacts, you don't know anybody.
You can find stock, I understand, but it's getting a buyer.
Cold calling and all of that.
Yeah, a buyer to follow you and invest with you.
Yeah, and actually the top agents there, it's not that they're necessarily great at listing properties it's just that they found one or two clients.
It's the network.
With serious money to invest. And they refer them to their network. That's it. It's
and
not
what's
that
the average fee in Dubai? As in percentage? Is it a 6% fee?
If you're a good agent, you're getting 2% from the buyer, 2% from the seller.
Right, so it's a 4% average.
The developers might pay up to 7%, 10%. And then the buyer doesn't pay. So there's some good commissions being made. And I interviewed someone the other day. His top agent had closed $1 billion dirhams, or was it $1 billion dirhams or dollars? No, $1 billion dirhams worth of sales.
So what's that? 200
so the commission on
million quid?
Yeah.
He
made
4
times.
Yeah. So his commission, he'd have so what's the maths on that? Let's say 400. And let's say he gets 70% of that or 60% of that.
So he's earned about 150 million quid.
Yeah, and he's in his 20s.
Right. Let's go.
He's in his 20s from Manchester.
Let's go.
No, he's in his 20s from Preston, I think.
Right.
Maybe
Wow, he
might not.
Preston.
When you went 10 years ago, pretty much, was it 2017? You went. What was your vision? What was the game plan then?
So for me, I like being employed. At the time, I was like, no, I'm a leader. I don't broker. I'm not interested in broker. My viewing days are over. I run teams. So I went to run a brokerage or run a department within a brokerage, and that was it. I was, getting paid very well. I got an override on all the commission that we brought in, and that was my life. I liked certainty. I was never interested in entrepreneurialism then. But now I am.
And then you developed in
and then
your
I was kind of forced
spirit.
into it. I was
okay,
forced
how
into
was
it.
that? How were you forced?
Well, when I moved on to co-found, I was approached to come and co-found a PropTech startup, and it just seemed like, this would be my baby. This would be me. I should really explore this, and it's something that I get equity, and I'll create this.
And what was it? What did it do?
It was a PropTech startup called Keeper. And it was, at the time, it was a property management app. So it was for investors, by investors, where you could go in, you've got like it was a bit like a Bloomberg for real estate investors. So you go in, you can have like a dashboard of all your property portfolio, see the current valuation, be able to transact, be able to, renew your tenancy contracts and do everything it was a super app. It's now evolved into a rent facilitation platform, which is like rent now, pay later, essentially. So in the UAE, you have to pay your rent in advance, typically 4 times a year.
So is it still going now?
It's still going now.
But you got fired.
I got fired.
How did
Sorry
that
about
go?
that.
I got booted out of my own thing, and that was just.
So you were the co-founder, you got fired.
I was a co-founder
Who by?
by my co-founder CEO.
How does that happen?
Very uncomfortably.
And you didn't see it coming?
Evening conversation.
You didn't see it coming?
There's a long story behind it. I kind of did, not that I saw it coming, I asked for it. So I actually went on a pilgrimage to Mecca a week before it happened. And I wasn't happy about a few things. There was just a bit of tension. And I actually put it out there to God. I was like, God, if you know, and I did my, it's called Umrah, it's the Muslim pilgrimage where you go around the Kaaba 7 times. Yeah. And I was just like, if you see it work, you know, if you see it in my future, please fix the problems that we're having. If it's not part of my future, remove me immediately. So actually, when that conversation came 6 days after I returned, I was like, well, would you look at God?
Was that kind of a relief that you had some closure?
To me, it wasn't like, what? You're doing what?
Felt like, and look, I have to say this as a person that isn't religious at all, but you felt that was as part of your faith, that was decreed almost.
It was just like, aha, God's telling me,
there's a sign.
I'm getting you out there immediately.
So
like,
also
this
in religion
is
a thing called forgiveness. Have you forgiven the people that?
Yeah, no, we're cool. We're cool. We've done some work. We've collaborated. Like,
since?
We're absolutely fine. And I actually said to him, I was like, listen, because it wasn't a termination conversation. It was actually, we'd like you to transition to board advisory.
Did you keep your equity?
And I was like, well, I had to fight for that, but that's another story.
Our podcast is listened to by a lot of budding entrepreneurs. What red flags would you tell them to look out for if you had your time again? So if you were going back into the PropTech to make sure you came out with it with the millions, or and not have to fight for it, what would you advise as the red flags?
Yeah, I'd say the co-founder mix is so important, and a lot of PropTechs, they would have studied the path to getting investment. You know, they want to raise $3 million, and actually, it's a good look, or you're more likely to get invested in if you've got 2 co-founders, not one. Yeah. Because if it's a PropTech or if it's a startup that only has 2 co-founders, if you 2 fall out, it's like a divorce. Yeah. But if there's 3, then that's a nice healthy mix. One of them can always play devil's advocate.
And there's a safety net if one goes.
Right. And if one of those is a female, even better. VCs love that. So I kind of feel like I would...
Hang on, when you say that, because it ticks a DEI box.
It ticks a box.
Wow.
So I'm not saying, I was very worthy of being a co-founder. I wasn't just there to tick a box, but it was, I was the first to go. Yeah. So I was the first to go.
And then you had to fight. So to prevent you having to fight, what would you, if you had your time again, what would you do at the beginning?
Well, no, I did everything right in the beginning. Had they consulted me on this exit as COO, so I was COO, co-founder. Had they consulted me, I'd have told them, read the contract properly before you make this decision. Yeah. So because I wasn't part of that decision-making process, or,
Do you think, as most entrepreneurs do, and you are a classic entrepreneur, do you think that door closing was the best thing that happened, given where you are now?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why...
Tell us why.
Because, the conversation, I could tell that he was so uncomfortable having that conversation with me. And it took a while to get to it. It was an hour of chit-chat, and I was just like, get to the point. And when he said it in the way that it wasn't like, we need to terminate you. That wasn't... I was just like... Okay, look, let's just cut this transition to board. Are you trying to get rid of me? Like, I'll make this easier for you. Like, it's okay. God's decreed this, so let's just kind of wrap up the paperwork.
So it's almost like an amicable divorce.
It was it was very amicable. It could have been a very uncomfortable conversation.
But you could have made sure that it wasn't amicable, because most people would not take that situation lightly.
And had I not
you could have played
what
up.
I did, I would have lost my absolute shit. But it's because I'd gone through that spiritual process. I was like, bigger and better is to come. I'm not supposed to be here. Yeah. So I was very open to it.
There's been lots of pivotal moments in your career and life and change points. And the reason you're on this podcast today is because you met Russell here at the RAN conference,
That's
I think.
Right, yeah.
We sat next to each other, and very stupidly, as many of our guests can attest to, you said something to me.
What did I say?
I think I immediately texted Jervis here and said, I've got the next one.
Yep, Silvia's on.
Because you said the following to me. We were talking about entrepreneurialism and your success, the fact, as I'd like to come back to, that you earn money out of your podcast, which I think is a really hard thing to do, but you've achieved it. Yeah. And then you said this, I've sacrificed my personal life for my career. And I thought, wow, okay, A, you've admitted that. B, you recognise that. But it was almost like you'd made it a conscious strategy to sacrifice, I guess, what? Husband, kids,
friendships even.
So talk to us about that.
I didn't choose it. I'd love to be a mum. I'd love to be a wife, but it just didn't happen.
But you have chosen it, it seems. No?
It just doesn't really suit what I've become. So I've chosen to kind of look after myself in case nobody else is there to look after me.
But is that because, but I guess the point I'm making is that you have chosen to prefer Silvia Golden Nuggets to Silvia Mum and Wife?
Well, if Silvia Mum and Wife came first, maybe Golden Nuggets wouldn't have happened. But in the absence of that, I've had to knuckle down on this, and maybe that also, because I'm in this space, you know, I could get spotted by someone who knows. I don't know.
I think that's very likely.
Also,
are you happy as Silvia Golden Nuggets?
I am happy as Silvia Golden Nuggets, but I would love to be Silvia Golden Nuggets, wife of, mother of, you know, have it all.
You know,
but
we're a new audience for you, so you never know, do you?
Is it possible to have it all?
Let's dig a bit further. Now, there will be some people watching this now that think, okay, where are you going to go with this? Because many will believe, understandably and rightly, that you shouldn't have to make a choice as it seems you've made, right? So let me just say it. A man wouldn't have to make that choice, right? Let's be honest. Men, because of whatever
history,
they can, it seems, decide to have a career and a family. What you're saying is to have your career is almost you've chosen that career over and above. And this is probably the wrong phraseology, but the distraction of relationships and kids and so on. So you kind of have made a concerted decision. But that's a decision that really only befalls females, not males. And that strikes me as being rather unfair.
Yeah, and I saw a meme the other day and it said, how amazing would some of us women be if we had a wife? So, you know, so it's like I need, and not saying I want a stay-at-home husband or anything. I'd love to be part of a power couple and we're both supporting each other and so on. But I have to look after myself and not, you know, no one's coming to save you. Yeah. So just crack on. And if it's meant to be, if it's supposed to be part of your purpose, maybe I'm not supposed to be a mum. Maybe I'm supposed to just be a really amazing daughter and look after my parents. If I could choose, if I could have my choice, I would rather be a mum and a wife.
But hang on, so Kirsty Franks, Verona Frankish, Nikki Stevenson, there's dozens and dozens and dozens, by the way, will say, but
you can do
I'm
both.
a mum, I'm a wife, I've decided to be a business leader, very successful in the property sector. I'm doing both.
I would say amazing and well done. I don't want, but in order for that to happen, something's got to give. So if you're full-time employed as a mum, it means someone else is caring for your child. Everyone's got that choice. Everyone has that difficult choice to make. But if I was raised by my mum full-time, why should I deny my children of that, you know, to just kind of give them to a nanny or put them in play school or whatever it is. So it's a personal choice everyone has to make. And actually some women are like, no, take them. I can't deal with them all day. And that's also fine. And I probably end up also being that kind of mum. But I would like to have thought that if I did have, you know, my days of probably having a child are over.
What?
I'm 46. But let's say if I did have them in my 30s or whatever, I would have liked to have been a stay-at-home mum. But I could only be a stay-at-home mum if my husband is earning enough to keep us living a certain lifestyle.
Is it more that you've been so focused and distracted on your career that it's not that you don't think you can juggle both, because the names that I've just called out
Yeah,
clearly
it can
mean
be
that you
done,
can.
yeah.
But you've just been so distracted. I would call you aggressively ambitious. I don't mean that as a criticism, but I think that's Silvia, right?
Yeah.
Sylvia also doesn't sit still long enough in one location.
No.
So you pushed everything else aside and said, no, but this is what I'm focused on. You know, whether it's your previous real estate career or now your kind of media podcasting career and all the other stuff that you're doing, you just haven't a time for it.
Well, my driver is comfort. I love comfort.
What, financial?
Every kind of comfort.
Right.
So financial comfort allows me to fly business and first class. That's comfortable. If I have to go in economy, that's uncomfortable. So I will strive for comfort. Comfort could also be not working every day of the week. It could be having a lie-in and deciding, no, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
So it's doing what
And
you
you're
want
only
to do.
accountable to yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I kind of having
Does
come
that make
from...
it hard to have a relationship as well with somebody?
No, it should make it a lot easier because I'm flexible timings and, you know, I can be here, I can be
by
there.
being that you like just being in control of yourself, not worrying about somebody else.
No, because I've got capacity to worry about other people and look after other people. So I definitely have time on my hands. Having come from, you know, a long 9-to-5 career, then going into entrepreneurialism by way of the startup, living that life, which I thought was my own. I thought that was mine. And then discovering that it's not actually yours. You can easily be, even if you're a sole founder, but you've got investors, you're always beholden to your investors.
And they can somehow find a way of kicking you out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was just like, that's it. I don't want to be beholden to anyone. My life is my own now. I've made a lot of people very wealthy indeed, except I'm not wealthy. So I'm the brains behind this. So yeah, do it for myself, do it all for myself. I haven't got to the stage where I've got a team or staff, because again, that's uncomfortable for me. Yeah. I want to try and do as much as I can.
But you are at the stage where you're in...
The phrase of being comfortable or uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but you are at the stage. You're at the stage of earning a decent living and doing what you want to do rather than what you need to do.
And where I want to do it.
Which takes a lot to achieve, right? Because most people are chasing next month's mortgage or rent or whatever, doing what they feel they have to do in a job that perhaps they don't like very much, whether that's property or any other sector. But you have achieved doing what you want to do. You love what you do. You enjoy it. You're your own boss, your own freedom. You decide what you want to do and you're earning a living from it.
Yeah.
Great.
And I'm very comfortable.
So we need to talk about, apparently you can make money out of podcasts.
Yes,
you can.
Did you know that?
I've been waiting for this.
And I'm not talking about YouTube money or anything like that.
So
ad revenue.
For those that think, I'm going to have a podcast and earn a few quid out of it, you really don't, right? We're now... God,
so 53, 2 years in, yeah.
2 years old. Yeah. We don't do this to earn money. We do this because we love it. We love meeting the people, delving
Public
into
service.
people and their backgrounds and so on. Yes, it's a community
community
endeavour. So and we do it for our own PR, right? That's right. But you make money out of your podcast. Can we please elaborate on that? Can you tell us
how that happens?
Tell us the secret. How on earth do you earn money at a podcast? Because you've told us off camera what you earn. I don't know if you want to go there on camera, but I mean, fair play.
Well, the prices are going up.
We're not in economy. We're hitching a lift. We're like this on the side of the road. You're in first class.
The price because I increase my prices every quarter or with every.
So what do you mean your prices? So start from scratch. How do you make money out of golden nuggets?
Okay, so I started by getting individuals to come on. So consider me like your PR sidekick. Okay. Instead of it being, I'm going to write an article for you. No, come on the show.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Which is nothing wrong. Yeah. Instead of being like, I'm going to get you in this article, this publication, I was like, the new media is
YouTube podcasts.
Podcasts, and people are so consumed by social media as well. So, and that's a lot of people are just paying to, go to a podcast studio, create their own content, and distribute it on their own platforms and to boost themselves. So, what's everyone's favorite subject? Themselves. So, and that's my client. So if you want to come on a platform, talk about whatever key talking points, make it like a little mini a biography even. This is evergreen, and I'm always like saying, let's not talk about current affairs. I want evergreen content that anybody that Googles you or ChatGPTs you or Claudes you, your name, this episode is going to be just as relevant today as it is in 3, 4, 5 years' time. So for that reason, most of my guests have been CEOs, founders, the who's who in real estate, because I'm following their journey. I want to see where they've come from, where they're going to.
What makes them tick.
And it works. So it works. And how do I know that it works? Because they're getting results from it, whether their objective was to hire people or recruitment or more business. People are coming back. So there's some guests that are on their 3rd episode. Right. Like, oh, something new's happened. Let me go on Golden Nuggets and talk about this.
But the secret sauce is you're charging people to go onto your podcast.
Right. So I charge.
Take note, Joe.
Yes. Yeah. So people will pay.
I'm going to get a credit card machine.
People will happily pay for PR, and you know this. Yeah. People happily pay for
conventional PR, yes, it's how I make my living, but you're charging people, and I'm fascinated as to how you did this in the first instance, first episode, how you charge someone to go onto something that's got no profile, but you're happily and busily charging each guest to be on the Golden Nuggets podcast.
Because I make the show about them. So there'll be no other brand, there'll be no other kind of like right now,
Promotions,
this is your show. You're not charging me to come on, but this is raising awareness for Proper PR and Rainer Personnel. I assume it's coming out of your joint marketing budget. But you're profiling me, but also getting exposure for yourself. So at the time where I wasn't as well known, I started low, and it is interesting because because it's very difficult to price this. You don't know what's appropriate. So she gave me one of my past guests actually. I was just like, I don't really know if I could put it up. I should put it up. It's kind of, I'm having too many yeses here, so it's indicating that it's cheap. So she was like, Silvia, raise your prices until people squeal. And that's exactly what I did. So I was like, right.
Charge what you're worth.
Yes, like this season, we're going to increase it by $500. We're going to increase it by $1,000. So we just kept going up and up and up. And then
do you think that's giving you more credibility because you're charging a healthy amount of money? That in itself...
it's a barrier to entry. I'm not getting on any nonsense on my show.
No riffraff.
No riffraff. So this is not
turns up.
This is a no riffraff zone. And also I try and get them, every conversation you have, there's always a brief beforehand, like what's off limits, what's off. And I always say to people, look, don't sell on this. If people are interested in what you've got to say, they'll go in and do their own research on you and see how you. So just be authentic. So I'm just trying to encourage authenticity and just hear some stories that might be educational and entertaining. So I call it edutainment.
What can we expect from the next season? So you're over here now, a little bump in the road. So
going to do a UK season. You're going to see. So that's the other part. So I went from charging individuals to coming on to actually, then there was a brand that approached me and they were like, we love what you're doing, we want to be part of it, how can we get involved? So I was like, okay, sponsor a season, here's my concept for this season. And they sponsored it, and then they sponsored another season, and then I got a 3rd season sponsored by Property Finder, which is the equivalent of Rightmove in Dubai. And that was great. So where I get guests on and they don't pay, so that, if it's a real estate agent that comes on by way of a sponsored season, they don't pay. But it's about kind of, do you remember, I'll tell you what inspired me. Do you remember back in the day, the Negotiator magazine?
Yes.
The back page was a day in the life of.
Yes.
And that was like everybody strived to get that back page. Like, one day I want to be a day. Now I'm giving people that, let's hear your story. Let's hear what a decade in the life of XYZ. Because I think, this, no industry has better stories than the real estate industry.
Well, we're definitely finding it now. We're on episode 53. I think every single episode has definitely been true in all of them. There's always a story, and one of kind of generally challenge and inspiration for sure.
And so you're going to do the UK season, then you're going out to the States.
And then I'm going out to the States, so hopefully get your Ryan Serhants and a few big names on there. Big real estate
and tell
names.
us what does success look like in terms of the podcast? So subscribers, views, that kind of thing.
So I'm up to like 28,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
I don't make YouTube ad revenue because I actually thought I've got YouTube Premium, so I don't suffer with ads. And I don't want my viewers to suffer with ads.
So you've turned the ads off?
So I've turned the ads off.
Which means you get no streaming revenue?
Yes, which is fine because it wasn't even that much anyway.
Okay.
So I was like, oh no, let them enjoy without being interrupted. Unless it's, when I've got 1 million subscribers or something, might switch it back on again. You never know. But for now, I was like, nah, this is just pocket change. Enjoy without interruption. I don't know if it works that way. Maybe they are still getting it interrupted. But anyway, I'm not seeing any YouTube money.
So no one's commenting on that interruption. So yeah. So and this grows and grows and grows. So you see monthly growth, do you, in terms of viewer numbers and subscribers and so on?
And subscribers, followers. So I hit over 10k followers on Instagram, which was such a challenge,
especially in a niche, right? Because it's kind of real estate focused,
right?
Isn't it? Yeah.
But it's weird because like my audience is all over the place. It's like I've got real estate enthusiasts, I've got end users even just wanting to kind of get the inside track on what this real estate. Well, I've got people who are in the industry, people that are thinking about getting into the industry. I've got the PropTechs. I've also started getting VCs watching, like looking for the next PropTech to invest and just keeping their finger on the pulse of what's happening in the industry. So I just kind of like, I'm a commentator. I do a lot of emceeing as well, moderating panels, at global PropTech events. So I'm a talker.
We're lucky to have you. You're a busy lady. Talk to me about shoes.
Yes, so that's my thing. I've always got to have some high heels on.
Sorry, it's a Russell Jervis fetish, by the way.
No,
That's what we're talking about.
Sylvia said shoes are my thing.
Shoes are my thing.
Talk to me about shoes.
So would they be by Saint Laurent by any chance?
These are by Yves Saint Laurent.
We can't zoom on those, Chris.
This is not endorsed by Yves Saint Laurent, but yeah, hopefully I'll get a shoe endorsement at some point. I don't want
to change from your trainers to go, right, I'm going on the pod. I'm going to put my shoes on. I wonder what you're doing.
So I wore trainers from Canary Wharf.
You are the Imelda Marcos of the real estate sector.
Karen Brady, Imelda Marcos. But yeah, I do. I love shoes, and actually, because of my setup in the studio, my shoes would always feature in the shot, and it got to the point where people were actually had no interest in real estate, but were tuning in to see what shoes has she got on today.
Well, so me and Russell got our dirty old shoes on again.
Speak for yourself. So you are playing to the fetish market then?
Not fetish market, to female fashion. So and it was funny because I moderated a panel with one of the top directors at Deloitte at Global PropTech Summit in Saudi Arabia a couple of months ago, and the guy who I was interviewing on stage, he sent a picture to his wife and children in the family group, and he was like, my wife and daughter had nothing to say about my appearance apart from tell her shoes are incredible and where did she get them from? And so yeah, they become a thing.
So shoes are your addiction?
Yes.
How much do you spend on shoes a year?
Oh God! Oh, please let's not do the maths. But
come on, let's do it. I'll tell you what I spend on cars. No, I won't.
No, don't go there.
Okay, if we say a decent pair of shoes, am I thinking in dirhams? £500 for a decent. My average shoe is £500.
What? Hang on, a pair.
The average pair is about £500. And how many pairs will I buy a year? 15, 20. What's the maths on that?
10 grand.
That's not so bad.
Whoa.
10 grand.
That's not so bad.
Silvia, you spend £10,000 a year on shoes.
Well, you do spend half.
It
spend
sounds
12
worse
hours,
when you
12
say
hours a day on them, don't you? So, yeah,
if you say 50,000 dirhams, it sounds better.
And Imelda, how many pairs of shoes do you have?
Oh my gosh, we've probably got. Oh gosh,
I bet you couldn't bring them all with you.
My
so you've
investment.
had to buy some more.
I've actually got suitcases and suitcases of shoes. So I probably have. But I also do throw them out when it's time. Like I'm not a hoarder.
Throw them or give them away to a Dubai charity
and give
shop,
away, yes.
where everything's still 1,000 dirhams.
They say that you should always spend good money on shoes and mattresses because you spend
most of your
day
time on it. Absolutely, I like that. So there's 100 plus. 100 plus. So 100 plus at 500, that's what, £500,000 on shoes? No, hold on.
No, 50 grand, isn't it? It's 50, I think, I don't know.
Maths is not my strong
I didn't
point.
expect to come in and do maths. but the serious point is, right, so whether it's shoes or handbags or whether it's watches, which often it is, with me it's cars, it's I guess, a target for you in terms of your kind of success, almost, isn't it? Yeah. To have something that you feel good about.
Be comfortable in.
But also, comfort. And,
no, they're not always comfortable shoes, though, but anyway.
And as a distraction, really. It's almost like a reward for your hard work and success, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my thing.
So it's enabled your shoe fetish.
I gave up on cars a long time ago. Actually, when I was back in the UK, maybe 2014, I was just like,
Really?
Yeah.
How can you give up on
I
cars?
tell you exactly how I did. So I was calculated, because I'm not great at maths. So every now and then I'll do like a life audit. And just as you've just done with my shoes, we have a problem here. But anyway, so I did the same exercise with cars, and I was like, hold on, it's costing me £500 finance, insurance 200. Anyway, I totted it all up, cost of petrol, the cost of the weekly car wash and everything, and it was coming up to £1,200 a month I was spending on the car.
15 grand a year.
And I was like, I could probably get an Uber Lux, anywhere I needed to go and spend less than that. And I tried it out for a month.
You definitely don't get the car thing. It's not about it's not about the cost of ownership. It's about the experience and the character of the car.
But it's also, the audit is a very good point.
The audit was a very good
taking
point.
regular audits and see what's important to you.
And I was like, and parking was stressing me out. Being clamped was stressing me out. But now with an Uber, it's like, that's his problem.
And if you have been affected by the addiction issues featured on this episode of The Two Russells, call 0891.
Silvia, that's been an incredible insight into your journey, and you know where you've come from being Lauristons in London now to a worldwide success. It's incredible. So I'm sure you'll get even more listeners to the Golden Nuggets and podcast from this.
And you'll be seeing a lot more of me.
We haven't asked. One other question we should ask.
Go on.
What's Silvia doing in 5 to 10 years' time? What does Silvia in 2036 look like?
As little as possible. Again, that's my answer. I don't want to be this kind of, I don't want to be doing everything. I want comfort. So I would like to think I'm spending 3 months here, there. Like my favourites are London, Dubai or Middle East. I'm loving Riyadh. I really love spending time in Riyadh. So in an ideal world, it'd be like 3 months here, 3 months there. I've got a few investments. A bit like,
I've got a feeling there'll still be a podcast going on.
There'll still be a podcast, because I love to talk.
Yeah, but I just love that you've got life sorted. I think you've got it sorted. I think you've done so exceptionally well. And I love your ambition. I love your appetite for risk. And look, you've from a standing start taken, what was a real estate career and turned it into a real estate media career.
Yes. Yeah.
Just super, super impressive.
Thank you.
Very impressive. Very impressive. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Russell Squared.
Russell Squared. And as I said, you can follow Golden Nuggets so on Spotify or YouTube, the best place to go.
Apple Podcasts.
And you will see Silvia
and her shoes.
And her shoes. So that's it, Russell. Episode 53.
Yeah.
We go on to PropTech next. The PropTech
hang on.
magnet. Is
My
it? What would we call him?
No, hang on. We go on to the next one next week. I'm exhausted already.
A whale.
Literally a whale of an individual within the property
I'm sticking
sector.
around for this one.
You're going to watch? Yeah, look, we're going to try. Let's see if this happens, right? Because we haven't seen him yet. We're going to try and get under the skin of and into the mind, the horrible, murky, complex and dark and sinister mind of Mr. Simon Whale.
Well, until then, let's see how we do. Russell's got his list of questions. I've got mine. So tune in to episode 54 to find out about then. And it's just for me to say it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him and Silvia.